And your application this afternoon is Inter-Ministerial Group on Early Years Family Support. Andrea, over to you, please.
Well, thanks, Ian. And can I just say how wonderful it is to be asking you for a debate? It's the first time in a while, isn't it? And I was so delighted to help you out every time. Just saying.
Massive slots.
Yeah, exactly. Huge slots at all times. But I just really wanted to start off by saying that Lucy and Norman and I have worked on this issue, the first 1001 days, since we were babies ourselves, basically in 2010 when we all came into Parliament. And this is an issue that is fundamental to our whole society. The first 1001 days and getting it right in that early years period has such far-reaching consequences for children's mental health, their self-confidence, their ability to learn, their propensity to get into a gang or into a life of knife crime or addiction. So it is absolutely vital. And in recent months, there have been several Select Committee reports, I've named some of them here, which have really highlighted the need for the government to take action. And in the government's response, each of the ministers has pointed to the Inter-Ministerial Group that I was chairing on behalf of the Prime Minister, which was looking at cross-departmental, what can we do to support the first 1001 days. And soon before my resignation, we'd completed our work, we'd highlighted the excellent work done by the Select Committees, and we had put our recommendations to the government for Secretaries of State to approve and then to go round collective right round and for implementation. And so the challenge now is that I'm so desperate that we don't lose that. You know, the excellent work done by a huge range of Select Committees, the commitment of Lucy and Norman and myself, and not only us. You'll see from the names here, there are so many people. I mean, Frank Field signed the first 1001 Days Manifesto back in 2011. Sharon Hodgson was deeply involved. Philippa Whitford has said she'd love to get involved, but as the spokesman for the Scottish Nationalists, she could only speak if it's not her opposite number who's answering for the government. So there's huge cross-party interest in this area, and I would dearly love to have a substantive motion that's really calling for action. And in particular, obviously with the changes about to take place in the government, it would be really important to try and do this before there is a new Prime Minister. I wrote to our current Prime Minister with a sort of summary of the recommendations, and I'm planning to ask a PMQ tomorrow to ask for an update. But this really would give us all the chance to give our shared cross-party views on how vital this area is. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed. Lucy.
Thank you, Chair. And as soon as Andrea asked me about this, I said yes straight away, because as she said, we have worked together on this vital area of policy for such a long time. And you know, this is her first application on the backbenches, which I'm sure will add a great deal of kudos to the application as well. But also, Andrea was doing a really good job in government with her review. It created a lot of excitement amongst stakeholders, those involved in the policy world, those practitioners on the ground. I went to a number of meetings and events with Andrea because she conducted that that review in a cross-party spirit as well. So there was a huge amount of anticipation. I know that, although Andrea couldn't say that here now, but I know that there were some very exciting, bold and transformatory recommendations that were going to be brought forward, which I think were long overdue. And it's just a shame that Andrea wasn't able to see that right through in government. So I think it's really important that we get the chance to hold the government's feet to the fire on this, so that all that brilliant work doesn't disappear. And actually, since Andrea left government, there's also been a couple of really seminal reports on Sure Start and the value of that early intervention in the Sure Start services and centres that they've done. Members of the committee might be familiar with that, but overwhelmingly showing that early intervention does reap huge rewards to public services later on. And we had a UQ on that, which was we also mentioned the first 1001 critical days, which was hugely well subscribed. So I think there's a real appetite in Parliament to discuss these issues at the moment, and I think we'd have no problem getting lots of speakers in the main chamber.
Very much indeed. Norman, please.
I endorse everything that's been said. I chaired the inquiry that we did on the Science and Technology Select Committee into one crucial aspect of this, which is adversity suffered in early childhood, trauma, abuse, neglect, and the relationship that that has with the emergence of mental ill health, low educational attainment, and other adverse consequences in teenage years and beyond. And I have to say we were actually very disappointed in the ministerial response from education to that report. I'd spent a lot of time since then talking to every single member of Andrea's working group, including Andrea herself, and was very hopeful that there would be something extremely positive coming out of that. And I think it's just critically important that we air this in Parliament. The opportunity to change lives, but also to save vast amounts of government money. This is a case of invest to save, really. You invest in those early years and you reap the rewards
Exactly.
through the life course. It's not given nearly enough attention, and this is a big opportunity, and I think it would be an excellent thing if Parliament was seen to be discussing this in the next few weeks.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. You're not quite eligible for your season ticket yet, Norman, but you're getting very close. Right. Now, Jim Shannon's our only season ticket holder, but you'll be eligible really quite soon, I think, on the basis of this. We are hoping to have some time on the 18th of July. If that was to become available, would you take that to Thursday the 18th?
I think colleagues would. Unfortunately, the 18th of July is the one day when I won't be here, which would be a great shame. But nevertheless, I mean, I do genuinely think, for the sake of having a debate in the chamber, it's so important that I would take it. But equally, I would go and beg the Chief Whip on bended knee to give you another date that I could do. So, yeah.
Well, you know, if the government Chief Whip comes to us and says, oh, there's some time available, you know, absolutely, we will try and accommodate that, but you never know. You never know.
The ideal thing would, well, we ideally very much want Andrea to lead the debate in the chamber, but also before a new Prime Minister's imposed, who might want to whisk Andrea off to other to other responsibilities, you know, and lots of other things change then. But I think, you know, given that this was a piece of work commissioned by the current Prime Minister,
right,
you know, it would be important to have that.
So we will ask the question of the leader of the House and of the government Chief Whip to see if we can get some time, and if it becomes available, we'll certainly try and accommodate that.
Thank
okay.
you
Thank
very
you
much.
Many thanks.
Thanks, really appreciate it.
Anyone else,
Thank you.
please?
Oh.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Sorry.
No, that's fine.
Okay, thank you very much
Thank you.
indeed.
That's very good. Thank you very much indeed.